Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another insightful and value-packed conversation at Speakspirations with the Boards.
All right, so today we have with us Oluwafunmilayo Sopade, a medical student and a certified project manager, an author, and a youth leader driving impact across healthcare, policy, and social development in Africa. Beyond leadership, she is a certified MC and the author of Emerge, inspiring young visionaries to take charge of their growth. She has raised over 10 million with her team, positively impacting 4,000 plus young people. And she is a fellow of the global recognized program, including the CGIU and the Aspire Leaders. So today we welcome Fumilayo Sopade to the show. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Hi, thank you for having me.
All right, so can you introduce yourself to our audience and let's just know a little bit about what you do?
And Fumilayo Sopade.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm Funmi Sopade. I think I can come off as quite strict, like from afar, like so strict and disciplined. But we come close, I think I'm quite sweet and playful. I work at the intersection of youth development, civic engagement, health equity, and systems and governance. And I'm a 400 level medical student. What I do, I love projects. I love people. I believe that the future of work is driven by projects. A project can be as simple as planning your birthday party, right? Up until maybe planning a program or designing a framework to actualize something that can have an effect on like nations globally. So like I love projects. That's why I'm into project management. My love for people also, made me dive into doing like an MC work. I think it started out with when I was in SS1. I was in debate team, so aspire to Maguire, so all of those stuff. So over time I discovered that I have this, I'm a very good orator, quite articulate, and I have this playful personality, and my energy is always, people are always like, I love your energy, and I'm like, you know what, let's turn this into some cool cash. And then I started moderating panel sessions, and now I work as an MC for corporate events. I can't do parties. I don't. So, and sorry, should I go on?
Yeah.
I'm very much interested in social entrepreneurship. So if you go to my LinkedIn page, you see like I do a lot of social impact stuff, and I'm quite interested in leadership too. That's why I ventured a bit into politics. So thank you.
That's a nice personality, right there.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
wear many hats, like from being a medical student to a project manager, a policy enthusiast, an author, an MC. Which of these roles do you feel very much natural with?
Okay, medical school does not come naturally. That's on a lighter note, right? Because it's quite a tough place. Not difficult. Not, yeah, let me say tough. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why I choose medicine at the end of the day. A lot of people said the red brain casting, this and that, but I found myself here. I think I felt I was too brilliant in secondary school, and I was like, I want a course that can challenge me, I can. And now I'm suffering for my for my decisions, right? As I said before, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a firstborn, or maybe just my wiring. I just love people. I know people can be quite difficult to work with. I've worked with different kinds of people in 3 to 4 years now, and I've seen different shades. They've shown me some shaggy, and then I've met really lovely people alongside. But because I love people, because I love to work with people, I love to organize things for people. I can't be in a place and things are not working. Like I get concerned. I'm like, I think that's where my passion for leadership started. Like it started from as little as when I was young. I think, okay, we were living in a house, and then I don't know why, in that house, I think we were the only ones that had, I think, DSTV or something. Maybe some other people were not usually around. So when people Children from the house will come. They want to watch TV, and then before they come, I'll say, okay, before you guys watch TV, some people will sweep the floor. Some would. I didn't know I was prepping myself for project management in the future. So I think the baseline is, and why it comes naturally is because I love people. I love to work with people. I love to work for people. I love to serve. I love to organize things. I love to make things work. So MC, project manager, being a medical student, transitioning into being a doctor, it's about people, and that is what I thrive in them. Thank you.
So reading from your bio, over the past 3 years, you've led projects that raised 10 million naira and impacted 4,000 young people. I saw that and I was like, wow.
Over the last 3 years. It's not like I raised 10 million in December. Okay.
Actually, so what was that? How was that journey been like?
Okay. For me, I think it started with a burden to see what is possible and ideal, and then it was sustained by curiosity, right? And then over time, it was more like, was it made possible or amplified by being a community of doers, right? I constantly see people who see problems and like they just want to solve it. You know, I explained the other time that like from as little as when I was young, I'm like, okay, before we watch TV, you clean the AC, you do this, you and whatever, like all sort of things. So started with like, how can I said I was in debating in SS1, and that was where like I feel like most of that's when I noticed that I started getting interested in societal issues, right? I was very surprised. You know, SS1 for young girls, everybody's like, I'm not a big girl, I'm here and there. And then I saw a very big problem. I was like, why is it that girls think that they're going to end up in the kitchen? Like, why is it that they believe that after everything is all said and done, like I'm just going to get married and that's the destination, that's the height or the climax of being in life. Then another thing I saw was that people from low income backgrounds, like the family don't have so much, they feel very disadvantaged, and in those situations, I was seeing an opportunity for them to leverage their pain, their lack, but they kept on seeing the disadvantage, what they do not have, instead of what they can do with what they do not have. Do you get? So that I think that's where it started from, and then from there I started doing some. I say aspire to perspire talks, right? It works, right? I'm also a huge fan of the fact that we should not like overdo what's the word? What do they call it? Motivational speaking, but like it works, right? It's part of what has made me where I am, right? So I started with personal development. I was reading a lot of books. I was attending conferences. Then I came into part one. I just wanted to go. I was very curious, very curious. You know, I mentioned it was sustained by curiosity. I was like, why is it that things are like this? Things like I feel like there is a possibility that we can live in an ideal world, right? So like I wanted to try and make things work. So I joined, I applied for Aspire Leadership Program, Cleansing Global Initiative, Evolify Africa, Mandela Fellowship by Evolify Africa, quite a number of other fellowships, right? Just to because I felt like it can start with passion, but that alone won't take me far, right? I needed to sharpen my mind. I needed to sit with people who were already doing what I wanted to do for things to be easy, right? So I went in search of knowledge. Like I just wanted to know how can things work. And from there, after personal development, the book you mentioned, The Growth Resource, evolved. It's evolved, not emerged, right? I think one thing stood out for me during that time that we were in part one. That was the time that there was one 8-month strike and all of that, and I felt a huge surge in my growth. And I believe that one thing that made that happen was my ability to reflect. Like I would sit down. I can sit for like 5 hours and ask myself hard questions, like and answer them, right? And that was one of the reasons why I designed that growth resource. Apart from my newsletter, I started on WhatsApp. Then I moved to Substack. And then I designed that growth resource. Then from there, I started getting involved in menstrual health advocacy, you know, because the energy was there, the debating energy, and then because I wanted these people to know that there is much more to you than you see now. You can be this, you can be that. So I volunteered with NGOs, right? Started with menstrual health initiatives. Then I moved to mental health initiatives. Then entered politics a bit, then started taking courses in project management. So I think that was like the way the journey was for me. And then when it comes to like the fundraising aspect of it, because I'm a believer, right? I have this consciousness that, and it guides everything I do. It's my call. When people ask me, "Oh, why did you contest for vice president? Why do you do this? How come you do so many things and then you're good?" I tell them like I do what God tells me to do. I don't do them. There are a lot of things that I can do, and I feel like it's a problem for people like us that you have so many talents, and I think it's a problem for some young people. It's good to explore. It's good to try your hands on quite a number of things. It's good to learn one or two things somewhere. Like no knowledge is ever wasted, but like I feel like it's a problem when you are trying to do so many things without establishing one part for yourself first of all. So I asked God, like, what does God want me to do, right? And there's this very strong consciousness that if God is sending me, like He's backing me up, and that when God sends, He funds. That's like how I see it. And then when it comes to like making a project possible, the resources, not just financially, it can be human resource, it can be material resources, right? I believe that mine, as long as I'm aligned to God's vision, right, whatever He wants to make possible, I just need to ask Him. Yes, I need to. I have my aspect to play. I have to learn. For example, when it comes to like raising big money, we did a program. I think I had quite a number of projects last year, and I feel like the foundation is for anyone who wants to pursue this path to understand that when it comes to projects, it means that you see a problem and then you want to provide a solution. And then there are more like three categories of people when it comes to like, is it categorizing people to a problem? There are people who are affected by the problems. There are people who want to solve, right? And there are people who have the resources. They are interested in that problem. So that means that for you who would like to solve the problem, you see a solution, you see a gap to be closed, right? It means that you need to collaborate or align with the people who have the resources to solve that problem. I was giving an example that last year AI was becoming a thing, right? Artificial intelligence. People were scared. Oh, is AI going to take our jobs? Okay, we only knew about Google and all of that. So how do we start incorporating or integrating AI not only into diagnosing or treating illnesses, but also integrating into medical education? And then we saw that gap, right? And I and my team, we designed a program. We said, okay, let's do a program where we explore the intersection between artificial intelligence and healthcare. And then in funding the event, we had to look, okay, which brands or which companies or which organizations are interested in this kind of a project, right? Because I believe that maybe CSR is a big part of very solid brands, and then they're looking for people who have problems that align to their vision to make the world a better place, right? So that they can be a part of that, project. And for that particular project, we partnered with Wema Bank, right? And like they gave us 2 million naira for that. Many more. There are many more projects like that. I was the chairperson of our Health Week. We do an annual program, Health Week, last year, and then for that project we needed over 10 million naira, right? And then we partnered with EHA clinics, Fanatics, like quite a number of brands, right? So I think that for anybody who wants to pursue project management, you want to design like framework solutions for people, you have to understand that for you to want to like do a project, it means that you are seeing a problem, right? And you're not the only one affected. There are people affected, like the people who are going to be on the receiving end of the solution, but there are people who also, they're interested in that problem and are looking for people who are ready to solve them, to partner with their resources. So funding is not like, it's not difficult, it's not impossible. You just have to make sure that you are solving like problem for the right people. Like people, you have to make sure that it's something people are interested in solving, right? It's not that how should I say it? I think I want to give an example. I was talking to somebody one day, and then they were talking about doing something, and I was telling them that innovation is not, it's not about like always bringing new things, like just bringing new solutions. Sometimes it's about leveraging what you already have and doing it in a new way, right? So people, for example, let's say people have a problem with employment in Nigeria, and then the next thing you are giving them is a bag of rice. Like that doesn't solve the problem. So you want to make sure that you are doing something that people are really interested in solving for you to be able to receive the resources to fund such projects. So if you basically want to raise funds, yes, see the problem, right? Design a proposal, pitch it to them.
And make sure that you're solving that problem.
Yes, and you're solving, like, that's why M&E too is very important, because for any company to partner with you, they want to be sure that you've handled something similar in the past. You want to have a track record, and you want to have data. Okay, this problem that I'm solving, are you just trying to like just do a superficial thing and just maybe a one-off project that will not really make an impact, or are you really trying to change lives? Like, give me the data, let me see. Okay, 50 people's lives have been changed by this particular project. They need the data, that data to make sure that they're investing in something that is really life-changing, not just showing their money anywhere.
That's nice.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great. All right, thank you very much for answering that question. You've given us a very detailed, like, explanations on people that really want to go into project management, social impact, and all of that. All right, so in your years of leadership, what challenges some young leaders face when trying to drive change?
Hmm.
Because I remember earlier you mentioned something like trying to make people that have like issues with maybe their background, like they're trying to see the negative sides. They're not trying to see, and you're trying to make them see like the positive side inside, like still within the negative side. So like, can we categorize that as part of the challenges to face while trying to drive change?
Yes. I believe that one thing that any leader, right, whether like positional or informal, because like you do not always need a title to be a leader,
Sure.
right? One thing that you must understand is that you are going to be meeting different people with different mindsets, different experiences, different motives, and for you to work with them, you have to meet them where they are, but you will still also have to make sure that they align for you to meet a particular goal. So that there is that issue of people management, and when it comes to people, it means that you want to be able to look into their mindset. That is why when it comes to one thing I do whenever I want to start a project, like my team is a very like critical part of project. You can have the best ideas in the world. In fact, you can have the best funding or resources, but if you have a team that will frustrate you, I'm telling you that that project can go down with. So I think that before I even go on to explain that, I believe that one of the challenges that I've seen play out, or that I think I've seen in many young leaders today, is the problem of self-leadership. A lot of us you want to sit as the boss, right, and then demand things that they can't see in you. I believe that's a big problem, right? Being a person of integrity, upholding excellence in what you do, paying attention to details, right? Being people centered, like being people oriented. People are not tools that you just use to get things done. They are beings, like they are part of, like they are very essential in making sure that vision becomes a reality. And one thing I do whenever I have an project or I have to bring people on board, I make them hone the goal together. That is one thing I do. I tell them, this is not about me. This is not about like that big goal. This is about us doing something together. And if you work to people over the years, you notice that everybody likes to be a part of something bigger than them, right? Once you can feel a sense of responsibility, a sense of ownership, naturally, like that drive comes, that motivation comes, right, to do things. It's not only when they start motivating you externally, like there's just that internal motivation to like this thing. Once they are done, like I know that I was also part of it, so like I want to do it. So self-leadership is a thing. You need to be able to lead yourself before you can lead others, right? And then while mentioning self-leadership, I touched on integrity, excellence. Like those things are very key. Ability to work in a team too. I think it's very related to self leadership. When you're working with people, apart from ownership and making them feel like a part of the vision, right, making them feel like a part of something bigger than them, you have to respect them. It is very important that when you're working with people, they feel like their opinions are valued, right, and that the little efforts that they are putting into making things work is seen. So respect and appreciation for the things that they do. A lot of people don't do that. They don't know that something as little as, oh, I saw that there was about to be a problem, and then you were very proactive. You reached out to this so that things could work out. Well done. You did a great job, right? Or something like, oh, you want to make a decision. Even if you you've like tried to sit down, think through it, and you think this is the best way, sit them down, let them share their opinions. Like, what do you think about this? Which way do you think is best? In fact, like, it saves you from a lot of problem, right? Like, they can even see things that you're not seeing. Because a mistake that leaders can make is that they think for the people they are leading, right? You just think that this should be their problem, this is what they are going through, or this is the way they will see it, and that's not how it plays out. So self-leadership, having like very strong values: integrity, excellence, respect, accountability. Like, you yourself, you have to be accountable. It's not that you are telling them to do A and then you are doing Z, right? So I think that those things, and communication too. Communication is very important. You can have the best idea in your head, but if you can't communicate it to people, like, it's zero, right? For them to share in the vision, that means that they understand what you're about to do, and that is where communication comes in, right? And then I was about to mention empathy, but empathy encompasses respect, right, and appreciation. So I think that these are some things that we
Thank
should
you very
get.
much for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So you've been part of global fellowships like the Clinton Global Initiative University
Yeah.
and the Aspire Leaders Program. So how have these global platforms, how have they shaped you, how have they shaped how you even perceive yourself?
All right. I think that it made me realize that I'm a global talent, right? You know, as a Christian in church, they say go into the world, but I think that quite a number of people here go into Abeokuta or Nigeria. Like, they don't realize that you can have the fact that a problem is here, right? Doesn't mean that it only exists here, right? And then there is such a thing as producing locally grounded solution for that have global relevance, right? And then for you to be able to compete on the global scale or the global level, you have to start from where you are. So I think it shifted my perspective, coming together with people who are also passionate about leaving the world a better place than they met it, right? Coming together, having conversations, seeing how they think, right? How systems work in other countries. It really shifted my mind to understand that, listen, you are a global talent, right? Nigeria has problems. Other countries in the world too, they have, it might not be the same totally, but like, they have problems too. And God sent you to the world, not just to Nigeria, right? But you have to start from where you are to build the capacity to be able to change things on a global level. So I think that in that like global perspective, it really changed my mind, like, to think that I may be doing small things, I may be doing great things, right, from small places, but that doesn't mean I'm supposed to remain here. And it helped me also build multicultural competencies, like knowing how to relate with people. When working with people from other countries, I don't feel inferior, right? I hold myself to a certain level of standard, right? There's this sense of responsibility that you are representing, like, Nigeria, right? And then Nigeria is one country I admire, right? It's possible for people to see Nigeria from the place of lack and like all of the bad things happening, but I see Nigeria from the place of potential, right? A very high like percentage of our population are youth, right? And due to the fact that there are a lot of disadvantages, people are striving, like, we are very hungry for opportunities to build our skill, to build our competencies, and like that is like making us want to do much more. So whenever I'm in such kind of meetings, I hold myself to like a high standard. Like, that means that, and that equates to the fact that I have to learn to build sustainably, right? That's the second thing I would mention. Thinking from solving problems locally to building systems, right? Doing things in a more sustainable way, right? It's, for example, before I joined these fellowships, right? If you ask me, oh, there is period poverty everywhere, how do you help a child, like a young girl? I would say, oh, let's send a flyer out, let's raise 1,000 from like 100 persons and then buy pad. And then after 3 months, like, what happens? Don't they return back to that position that they've been? But being a part of those fellowships, of those kind of fellowships, will make me realize that, oh, doing just like a one-off initiative is like a superficial solution to something that has like a more even deeper root, right? So it makes me realize things like, instead of doing like just giving them parts, why don't you think about producing reusable parts and not just going to give it to them, but organizing a tutorial where they learn how to make it, right? Why don't you write policy proposals to government, or you join what do they call these groups? I've forgotten their name, but they are groups that, they go to the Senate House, they like propose a bill that, this kind of things, like these particular things are happening. Because at the end of the day, one thing I've learned from social impact is that we can't keep, having fragmented results everywhere, right? I know the power of compound effect and all of that, but for things to actually be sustainable, you have to have policies in place that can make sure that they are implemented on a global scale. And who are these people in power? Like the government, right? That is where they come in, policies and all of that. And that's made me like pick interest in policy too, right? So giving me a sense of responsibility, shifting the way I think from just local solutions, right, to building system and building more sustainably. And also, I think I would say it has taught me the power of collaboration, right? How that, just like I mentioned, that Nigeria is not the only place that has problems. There are several other countries in the world that have problems. It has taught me that when we come together, right, with that single desire to make the world a better place, then we met it. And then we collaborate, we share our resources, we share our knowledge that we've gathered and all of that. We can easily produce solutions than doing it alone. So I think those are the things that have taught me.
I feel like a lot of young people need global organizations like this. And for a young person that wants to join global fellowships like this, but they feel intimidated. In your own case now, you were not intimidated. You felt like, yeah, you belong in roles like this. But for someone who feels so shallow, what advice would you give that person?
The very rooms that scare you is the room you belong in. Really. Sincerely, that place that you feel the least qualified, that is where you need, because you need to grow, and growth doesn't come in comfort, right? And there is no one that has ever became the best version of themselves by believing their worst and not their best, right? So you need to go for it like you deserve to be there. And you need to understand that you are not, all that you see is not all that you are. There are things on your inside that through growth, through process, they'll begin to unveil. And you can't get that by sitting. And you might not have it all, right? You might not be the best, speaker in the room. You might not have all of the knowledge, but that desire to go for the best, to become the best version of yourself, it will produce, it will be worthwhile at the end of the day. So go for it. You deserve to be in that room, that particular room that you're scared of. You deserve to be there. That's what I'll tell them.
I deserve to be in that room. Tell yourself you deserve to be in that room.
Yeah. So for young people listening to this show, like getting to hear about these fellowships, all about these things, how can they apply to these fellowships? Like, what are the practical steps you can give to a young person watching this and applying to these fellowships?
All right. The first step is self-awareness, right? The fact that there are 1,000,001 problems in the world doesn't mean you are the one that will solve them all, right? There are things that when you see them, you just feel a strong sense of connection to it, right? That is where self-awareness comes in. You need to sit with yourself and ask yourself, what do I really want to do? What is that particular thing that draws me? Like, I don't like to see this happen. I believe that we can do it in a better way, or things can be better. You need to discover it, right? Once you now know what you want, thank God for social media, thank God for technology, right? I believe that one of the most important things that spurred my growth is community. You can't grow, like, you can't grow in isolation. You can go, is it how do they say this, that you can go fast alone, but you can't go far. You need people to go far. So you need to place yourself in those communities where they share those opportunities. When I came to part one, I remember more like a senior, she was saying to me then that, you, this girl, you like jumping around. And I'm grateful that jumping around has produced something significant in my life. It's not that I jump at every conference. I had identified what was like my, let me say, purpose or assignment in that sense, or something that inspired me, or something that I would like to be a part of. Okay, I learned early that, I love leadership. I like to help people. I'm very particular about youth empowerment. I'm particular about civic engagement or politics. And I'm particular about healthcare, improving systems in healthcare, equity, making healthcare affordable accessible to everybody, quality healthcare at any time that they need it. So those things, I knew that those are the things I'm interested in. So I started putting myself out there, right? I remember I started a LinkedIn account. I didn't have the opportunity to say I'm excited, all of those I'm excited. But I started sharing what I was learning, right? If I attend conferences, for example, maybe I see LinkedIn local, like if I remember that I volunteered then. Which team? I can't remember the team, but I volunteered. Then after the event, I wrote a post. Oh, I'm learning this. I'm learning this. When I read books, I'll post it there. Then, like from those posts or those things that I was sharing, I was telling people that like these are the things I'm interested in. And then if I see any growth up or opportunity, or like I was following them on social media, I was joining WhatsApp communities, I started to join, right? And then from attending conferences or workshops, right? Some free, some paid, right? If you really want to grow and you want to go far, be ready to pay for opportunities. Don't think that everything has to be free, right? And then a lot of people say, oh, like I want big people to mentor me. Like it's not, you don't have to have direct access to them. Buy their books, listen to them on YouTube, listen to their podcast. Do you get? So when I go to events, I network with people. Right from there, I talk to them. Oh, hi, hello. Oh, and them just give a little tip about networking. You want to go for a conference, right? And you see that so will be coming around. You go to LinkedIn or you just type their name on Google, learn about them, like check whatever they have been doing, follow up their posts. Then after the event, you're like, hey, how are you? Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for your beautiful session. Before even coming around, I see that you do this, and I'm deeply inspired. And I must say that it resonates with me, what you're doing. And I think that this is what I would like to do in the coming years. If you do not mind, I would like to have your contact so that I can have access to more opportunities that you share via your WhatsApp or whatever. Like that is how to, because people only listen to you when you start talking about them. Like if you just come and say, hello ma, my name is this, I do this, and I'm like, okay, so like how does that hurt to me? Yes. But once you start with them, you're appreciating them, you're making them feel like you see them, you see what they are doing, right? And then from there you're not coming to take. They feel like, okay, I think that he has something he wants to do, or you have a value you're offering. You connect with them, and from there, like they can just share. I remember that Clinton Global Initiative University, if you know Oladotun Ajayi, yeah, it was the one that shared with me. And how did we even connect? He wrote a post on LinkedIn, and I was like, oh my god, this deeply resonated. And I went to the comment section. I wasn't even trying to like get a personal relationship. I was just like, thank you so much for sharing this and this and this and this. And then he entered my name on LinkedIn. I was like, oh hello, I see that. Like he was impressed by the comment. And then from there I got his contact, and then he shared the opportunity with me, and like, yeah, I am today. So communities, right? Number one, self-awareness. Know what you want, know why you want to do it, right? And know where you want to be, so that you're not just jumping at every opportunity, and then in the long term, like you have nothing to show for it, right? And number two is like, put yourself out there.
I wanted to say that.
Put yourself out there. You need to put yourself out there, right? And I think from the last answer that I gave, that you're a global talent, right? The fact that you were born in Nigeria doesn't mean that this is the only place where your solutions are needed. Is it Miles Monroe that would say that your existence is evidence that this world needs something that you carry? So you need to put yourself out there, right? There are people from other countries that have so much to do. They have the same interest as you do, and they are waiting for people. That is what I always tell people. There are people out there, they see the problems that you are seeing. They are thinking the way you are thinking too, and they're just waiting for somebody to partner with. They're just waiting for somebody to collaborate with. They're waiting for somebody to give their resources to. So you need to put yourself out there so that they can know that you exist. And then number three is community, right? Community.
Masterclass.
Hey,
Masterclass.
yeah. So you are the author of Evolve. What inspired you to write that book, and what does Evolve mean to you personally?
Okay. It's been how many years now? I think it's about 3 years.
Wow.
I won't call Evolve a book in that sense. I call it more of a growth resource, right? I mentioned that when I started in part one, my personal development journey, I was doing, apart from reading, I read a lot of books. I read a lot. I listen to podcasts. I used to tell young people, your social media algorithm is a reflection of
Yes.
your core,
That's very good.
the way you are. Like, if you give me your Instagram, I already know,
True.
or from what you say, like, I already know how you think. And I don't want to say how far you can go in that sense, but because like people can change, right? So one thing about me is, since I know that I love to be on social media, I do not really love, because I don't have Instagram, I don't have Twitter. I I'm in medical school, so I'm very careful. I don't like to get addicted to anything, right? So once I see that, oh, my attention span is becoming very short, I just want to open Instagram and scroll. Like, if I'm stressed, you want to doom scroll. There's that primal urge to scroll. I just delete it. Never. You can't take charge of me. So my YouTube, I use YouTube a lot. Like, I intentionally create it. Like, I'm working or I'm watching plates. Like, listen to TED talks. Follow people that are where you are. Like they're where you want to be. Right. Like, listen to them. Read a lot of books. And from there, and I started to ask myself like very deep questions, right? Because I believe that evolving or emerging is something that continues for a lifetime, right? For example, I'm currently transitioning, like, in my career or in my phase of life, right? Everybody knew me as social impact mama, capacity, politician. But then I feel like I'm done with that phase, right? And I'm emerging again, I'm evolving into a new version. And that means that you consistently have to sit down with yourself and ask yourself questions. You have to reflect. Because one disadvantage of social media that I see that is very obvious is noise. Everybody wants to find themselves in another person. And it's a big problem, right? You need to sit down with yourself and get to know yourself, get to meet yourself. And that was one of the things that sponsored that propelled me into writing Evolve. It's more like a reflection book. Like, I wrote some inspiring things, then there was a place for reflection, for people to discover themselves. Because I believe that once you know what you want, you can get anything that you want. The first step is knowing what you want and what you want to do. Then you have no limitations. If you can think about it, you can see it in your head. If you understand it, you're very clear. Clarity is a big thing. If you're clear about it, if you're clear on it, if you know what you want, where you want to be, where you're going to, you just know, like, you will just know how to say no to certain things because you know where you're going. So I think that's it.
Your mind can conceive it.
Yes, then you can have it.
All right. You also talk about living a life of legacy. I mean, you are currently living a life of legacy. So, what would you tell a young person that wants to live a life of legacy? How would you advise that particular person?
Okay. The first thing is that it's beyond you, right? The moment you understand that I'm living for something that transcends just like me being present at this time on the earth, like, you are, for example, I love to see people grow, right? I love to see people, like, is it maximize their potential, become their best. So at every point in time, I tell people, a lot of people say I do a lot of things. I tell them I don't do a lot of things. Everything that you see are just expression of the same assignment, right? I might be doing something related to maybe youth development now, and then you're like, I thought I saw you doing something related to health the other time, and I'm like, I have a core, and that's to empower people to become their best. So at every point in time, wherever it is I find expression, it's one thing, right? So I live for something beyond myself, and that is what, like, building a legacy means. It means that while you are here and while you are gone, the systems that you've built, the solutions that you've designed, will still continue to empower people after you are done. So I think that's what basically, that's what it means. Because what inspires you to do more, what inspires you to become the best version of yourself, should be beyond, I just want to have money, go for vacation twice in a year, be able to afford the best clothes for my kids. No, it should be about giving value, leaving the world a better place than you met it, right? Doing something that outlives you, solving problems for people, making life easier for people, right? That's just what legacy means to me.
Doing something that helps. Cool.
Thank you very much. Okay, so on a lighter note, because we're rounding up this section. So on a lighter note, if you're not working or studying, what do you do to relax?
I look for trouble. I yeah, I like to play a lot. I, I'm a lot of people see me as a very serious person. I'm very serious. Even when I'm playing, like I'm very serious. I don't know why. That's just me, right? But I'm a people person, so I like to check up on my friends. I like to, I don't want to say mentor, like, because like once I'm not working or studying, I'm sure that I've scheduled an appointment for somebody to call me to discuss certain things and all. And then I like to be by myself. I think that a misconception people have about me is that like because they see me as like very bubbly, energetic, outgoing. If you live with me, that's the way you will see me. Oh my god, 0 100. When I'm at home, I like to be by myself. I don't like you talking to me. Like I feel like I like to meditate. I just love silence. Don't look for my trouble. Just but outside, yeah. Playful.
Wow. All right. I wanted to say what was one thing people assume, but you've already like
Yes.
answered it in between. Thank you very much for honoring this invitation,
You're welcome.
Thank
for
you.
sharing so many insights. Because I mean,
We learn
I
ourselves. We can't be small in this life
Absolutely.
at all.
So thank you very much for everything.
Thank you very much for the
Thank you
invite.
so much.
So we're drawing this section to an end.
Yeah, I'm sure that you learned a lot because myself, I've learned a lot too. So beyond everything that you learned, it is very much important for you to execute because
Yeah.
that is actually what matters. You can learn a lot, you can read a lot of books, but if it does not have impact on your life, then
There is
Yeah.
no
There
reflection
is-
about the book we've
Of course.
read or listened.
so thank you so much for tuning in. Kindly let us know what you picked from this session
Yeah, in the comment
in
section.
the comment section.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. See you in our next episode.
Bye.
Bye.